Good morning. This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to make the simplest beef jerky ever. We're going to use hamburger to make our beef jerky. Now, first thing is that we're going to be using the PID that I just put together, which will control the temperature and get us more accurate adjustments on temperature and keep us closer in the temperature range without having spikes of 20 to 30 degrees. This should keep us down to spikes of less than 10 degrees without even thinking about it. Now, you can adjust this more than what I have done, but just for the simple basics, I wanted to make sure I got off to a good start. So now I'm going to go ahead and plug this in and get it preheated. Now, in the next video on my channel, I'm going to show you me putting this together. If you want to see a detailed explanation of exactly how it works, I will include a link to another channel, which I don't normally do, but this gentleman here does a brewing channel, and he has all of the technical information on this PID and how to set it up. Now, on my video, I did a basic setup, and I really kind of followed his outline, so I don't want to claim to be an expert or anything like that. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set it just below our primary starting temperature, because I want to be able to bump it up right after I put the jerky in there so we can get the element to run for a few minutes and get the wood chips to start burning. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set that temperature. I've set the temperature to 170 degrees. Now you can see that this little red light right here is on, which means the element is powered and operating. We're going to let this sit for about 30 to 40 minutes so that way we can get a good stable preheat temperature. If we let it pop up there to the 170 degrees and then we threw the food right in, the temperature would be all over the place. So while this preheats, I want you to watch a clip that I did from last night showing the preparation for the jerky, which is pretty simple and really didn't require much work. The most important thing was to get it into the shape that we need for cooking the jerky to get our desired outcome. This is the night before I'm smoking my jerky, and I need to mix it up and let it set in the refrigerator. The reason I need to do that is because we're using Prague powder #1 as a curing agent that will help prevent the growth of bacteria in our jerky. Now, we also have a couple of other things here. We're going to use some cornstarch to help give it a kind of a binding so that way it will stay together a little bit better. And then we're going to use some double pepper cow cover coarse for our main seasoning. And as for our burger, we're just going to use some straight 93%. Now, if you want to leave out the cornstarch, you'll need to use a 20%, but you will get a lot more shrinking, and I just like the flavor better in the 93 or 90%. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out the ingredients in a separate bowl because I want to mix this Prague powder in with the other seasonings for a better mixture. Now, this is 2 pounds. And for 2 pounds, I'm going to use at least 2 tablespoons. I got to be honest, I really like this stuff, and I think I'm going to go a little more. Do be careful though, because it has salt in it, and you don't want to overdo it on the salt. So I'll just go about 2.5. I don't want to be short, and it is a little over 2 pounds. So. And with the Prague powder, you're roughly using 1/8 of a teaspoon per pound. So I have a 1/4 teaspoon here, and I'm going to go just a little more than a full one, so I make sure that I have enough for this amount of meat. I do want to make sure that there's no air pockets in it. Just a little bit more. Okay, and then right on the top there. I'm going to wipe this out real quick. And the reason I did that is because I don't want the prog powder in the cornstarch. Same thing with the cornstarch. I want a little bit more, but that should be enough just to give it a little bit of a binding and create consistency so that it will stay together when it dries out. Go ahead and set this stuff aside. I'll be right back. So now I have all my ingredients in here and I'm going to give them a good mix. I want to make sure that that prog powder is completely mixed through, and the cornstarch too. And if you see any lumps of cornstarch, just go ahead and smash those up a little bit. Looks like the prog powder is 100% mixed through. Show you on the close-up cam there. All right, that's done. Now we need to put the meat in the bowl. I don't like to use the smashed tubes. I get this from the butcher case and have them package it for me. Okay, and then I'm going to break it up just a little bit. Again, it's easy to break up this kind of meat because it's not all smashed in together. I'm just going to kind of separate it with my fingers. See here on the close-up cam what I'm doing here. Get it to come apart. Probably should have used a little bit bigger bowl for the 2 pounds. Now I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some of this in there. About 2/3 of it. Then we'll go ahead and start mixing. Both the prog powder and the cornstarch should mix a little bit with the natural liquids in the meat as it sits overnight. So I got it kind of distributed in there. I'm going to go ahead and mix the rest of this in there. All right, now that we have it all mixed in there, and I'll show you kind of a close-up, you can see that there's not really any big lumps of seasoning in there or anything. It's starting to look a lot like a meatloaf. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this pan, and this is just the overnight curing pan. I wanted something that I could leave in the refrigerator and I didn't have to worry about it spilling in case some liquid came out. But I also put in some plastic wrap down in the bottom so it'll be easy to remove this when we're done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to form kind of a little bit of a meatloaf shape, and then I'm going to smash it down. That'll take a second, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've formed my little loaf here, and you can see it in the close-up cam, and then you see it here. Basically, it's a nice little slab, kind of like the size of a thin steak, but square. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in the refrigerator, and after 12 or more hours, it will be ready to use. It's been just about a half an hour, and the smoker has preheated, and it's just a little above 170 at 179. Every time it comes on, it will raise the temperature and it'll shoot past it, and as it goes, it will get a little bit better at adjusting the temperature to keep it where it needs to be. Currently, the element is not on. You can tell that by the red light there, but the metal inside around the heating element is definitely hotter, and the temperature is pushing up a little bit. Now, I brought out the hamburger patty here, is what I'd like to call it today, and I noticed that I thought that it could use just a little more seasoning, and we're just going to put that on lightly on this side. Okay. I'm going to pat it in, but I'm going to try to be careful not to get it everywhere. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this out onto the grill mat. Typically I would bring out a table for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this on the top, line it up a little bit, set this on the top, and then we're going to flip it out just like that. Now it is stuck in there just a little bit, and what we'll do is we'll just pull on the saran wrap and get it to drop. I'll be right back because I'm going to need to set it off to the side to do that. It came out with ease. Set this down. Get a nice close-up of that. And now I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. Use this a little bit to recenter it just a little bit in the grill mat. Set that down. And then I'm going to sprinkle just a little more seasoning on this side. Not too much, just a little. And then just tap it in there lightly. I'm trying not to play with it and get this all over. Go ahead and put that in here. And as for the smoker, I have a drip tray here. I'm going to reuse that a few times until it needs to be thrown away. And then I put this on the second shelf along with where the thermometer is located. Go ahead and close that and latch it. Now today, I'm going to go ahead and use hickory wood chips. I think it's a good pairing for the hamburger. Anytime I use any beef, hickory is a mainstay for me. I also like mesquite. That's a good one, but I happen to have these hickory smokehouse wood chips here, and they're perfect for this application. Do not use wood chunks with the PID because the temperature will vary and it won't give it full power all the time, so then you'll end up with wood chips not smoking properly. I'm going to go ahead and put a half a load in here. Just like that. Load it. It's so much easier to do a half a load at a time than it is to try to fill it up all the way. And just like that. Now what this is going to do is it's going to push up, and it's been topping out right around 180 degrees. But we're okay to go to 185. So I'm going to raise the set temperature on this just a little bit. Let me get over here. I'll press here and then move that over. And then we're going to go 5 degrees more right here. And then set. Now what's going to happen is the element is going to run constantly, so that way we can get those wood chips going. Now I'm going to let this run for approximately 3 hours at this temperature, because what I really am going for is to add a little bit of smoke flavor and to get this meat patty to firm up so that way we can slice it. So that'll be 1 second for you and 3 hours for me. We are back, and it has been about 3 hours and everything has been going perfectly. Now I want to take a second to point out how the PID has been working. I have it set here at 175, and you can see that the light is just slightly flashing every so often. The temperature here is currently 173.5. It's climbing a little bit because it just did a little bit of a heating cycle. And then I went ahead and turned on the probe thermometers, and this one is at 183, and this one's at 194. I don't know if they're exactly accurate, but I did crack the smoker open a little bit, so that probably kicked the heater on a little bit more than normal. And you can look, and you can see this just barely flashing and holding right around the 175 mark. We're going to open this thing up, and we're going to ruin all that. Once you open it, of course, it's going to have to rebalance and everything. But as long as it stays preheated, it shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and use the cookie sheet to take out the grill mat. We'll set this right here for a second. Okay, look at that. Look at all that nice color, a little bit of oil on the surface, not too much. Of course, this is only 93%, so 7% fat. They're not going to have a lot of oil left over. I'm going to go ahead and turn this out onto the cutting board, just like that. And we'll set this back on here for now. Now I went ahead and grabbed my brisket slicing knife. I did run it through the sharpener real quick. I have just a blade straightener, and works great. Run it through a couple of times. And then I'm going to take some slices here, and I'm going for a little bit above 1/4 of an inch. Slice that and show that to you. Smells great and looks wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and slice that, so I'll be right back. Now I've completed the slicing here, and you can see it's all nice and laid out there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these end pieces, and I'm going to cut it in half like that. And you can see it's all done just barely, but we're going to give it a little taste. I like to use the edge because you know it's going to be a little more well done than the center right now. Exactly what we're going for. It almost has a little bit more of a meat stick consistency at this point, but we're going to dry it out a little bit more, and I'll show you how in just a second. Now I still have the tray here with the grill mat on it, and I'm going to go ahead and lay these out on their side just like this, so that way we can spread them all out on their sides and continue to cook them and add more smoke flavor to them. I'll be right back. So I've laid these all out, and it's pretty much completely filled the grill mat. I did bring another one outside just in case we needed to do something a little different. I'll get you a little close up there. And again, very similar consistency to a meat stick. Let's go ahead and put that back in. We want to avoid leaving the smoker door open as much as possible. The goal here is to run this for about another 4 hours. I'll check it. We might need to flip it about at the 2 to 3 hour mark, but typically I don't need to flip these. Usually they just come out really nice on all sides just because of how low and slow we're cooking them. On the last hour, I will bump the temperature up if needed to give them a little bit more kick to dry out. So now I'm going to go ahead and do what I did before and add 2 half loads of wood chips to this, and then we're just going to go on until the 3 hour mark, or maybe a little sooner if I need to flip them. So that'll be 3 hours for me and 1 second for you. It's been roughly about 2.5 hours, and I'm very happy with how the meat jerky looks right now. I'm going to go ahead and open this real quick. And I'm just going to pop out this piece that comes off the edge here. I'm going to show that to you real quick. Now I'm going to go ahead and break it in half here. And then that way you can see the inside. Nice pink color there. It definitely looks like it's taken a little bit of smoke. But a lot of that pink color can also be attributed to the cure. The prog powder will get that kind of color when it's reacting fully. Now let's go ahead and sample it. Now these pieces off the edge are going to be the most done pieces. The flavor is perfect, and I'm really liking the texture. It could be a little bit drier. Yeah, that's great. Now, we're running right here at 175, and the internal temperature is 178.3, and the PID has been keeping the temperature very, very close to where our goal is. Now, if you look up here, you can see that we got 174, and this digital readout is a little messed up right now, 187 on the top shelf where we have the second probe. Now, I want to go ahead and push this along a little bit faster, and I think that we've got the flavor the way we want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and raise the temperature to 225 for about an hour to really complete the drying out process. And one reason I'm going to do that is because we're going to run out of light in about an hour and a half, and then we won't be able to film. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to set this. Let's go over, and up. Oh, we'll go down to 2 here, and then over and up to 225. And now it's set. The minute I put it to 225, it went ahead and the element came on. And it's going to shoot right up there. It'll probably go a little past it, and then it'll balance out. So I'll keep an eye on it for about the next 15-20 minutes to make sure that the temperature does what I want. But I won't bother you until we're ready to pull it out and give it the final sampling. But I'm going to eat my snack right after I turn off this camera. See you in a second. It has been an hour, and about 30 minutes ago I looked at the jerky, and I know that it's going to be perfect. I did sample a little bit of it too, but let's go ahead and grab that out of there. I brought a cooling rack out with my cookie sheet so that way I can keep the oil where the oil belongs. I'll just go ahead and pull that out. Set that down here. We can take a look at this real quick. See, it's funny, every time I pull this out, there's less jerky on there. I don't know what keeps happening. Somebody must be stealing jerky in between camera angles. I'm going to take the thinnest piece because it's going to be the most well done. Now there is a little bit of oil on here, so I'll probably take a paper towel and blot it down a little bit to get rid of as much of that oil as I can. And this piece here is the thinnest, so I'm going to go ahead and rip that in half and show that to you real quick. I'll give that a little bite. That is perfect. That's exactly what I was going for. I'm gonna show you this, get a close-up of it. That is exactly what I was going for. My only concern when I was putting this together was using a pre-made mix was that it might have too much salt in it. Now, I'm a little particular. I like to be a little on the lower end of the salt, but you do what works for you. If you saw anything you like in this video, there will be links below in the description. I will put this specific PID in the pinned comment below. Now, the video for the assembling the PID will be coming out next week, and it's a little nerdy, so if you watch it on 1.5 times speed, I won't blame you. I do that when I watch most of my videos anyway, so that will pretty much tell you what's going on, and it'll also contain links to the gentleman that did the videos that helped me with my settings, and you can check his channel out also, and it is up here in the cards. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.